Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Dimuth Jayasinger, and I manage global trader voice and compliance recording accounts for Speakerbus. And with me today is Kevin Schleising. He is the Capital Markets Account Director at Redbox Recorders. Redbox is one of Speakerbus's long-standing partners when it comes to assisting our customers with compliance recording requirements. Today, we're going to be discussing MiFID II and how certain aspects of this new regulation will affect trader voice estates and record keeping. I'm going to talk to you about how you can help adhere to these changes and ensure your Speakerbus estate remains fully compliant. Also, Kevin from Redbox will be giving you a demonstration of Redbox's Quantify recording suite and basically show you how you can actually leverage or easily enhance your existing voice recording estate to assist with the changes that MiFID II are going to bring. Okay, so just a quick look at the agenda. I hope I'll cover off maybe what you're hoping to see today. There'll be a short Q&A at the end of the session also, so if you do have any questions, please let us know via the webinar Q&A panel. Okay, before we move on, it'll be useful to try and get a very quick understanding of where you all are in terms of your own readiness for MiFID II and Trader Voice. So we do have a poll which should be flashing up on your screens now, so we'd really appreciate your input here. If you could please take a couple of minutes to look at the poll. Thank you. Okay, just looking at the results. It's quite interesting to see that a lot of you are currently having plans in place and you're investigating. So I hope you'll find some helpful information and some tips to help support your trader voice infrastructure on this webinar. Okay, I found this quote online, which I thought was quite relevant to this session. MiFID II will demand changes or enhancements to your trader voice estate that could potentially come at a cost. This slide highlights that repercussions for non-compliance far outweigh any initial commercial investment or challenges adopting change process when considering MiFID II compliance. To highlight this further, a few years ago, I think it was Deutsche Bank were in the news for being fined $12.5 million for mishandling HOOT and intercom broadcast information. They basically failed to supervise which employees had access to confidential information that was being broadcasted. But it's not all exclusively about increased investment. This is just one aspect that firms are considering more. Companies are now looking to create more of a culture of compliance where they can seamlessly embed new or streamline processes and practices into their daily lives through technology and with that automation. With tighter rules being enforced, there's an increasing pressure to keep estates protected. Being able to proactively reduce or even mitigate risk is key. Speakerbus have been assisting a lot of customers this year who are adopting new or more proactive monitoring methods for MiFID II compliance. And with trader voice and UC technologies continually changing, we'll notice that most of our customers are now looking to us to understand how to leverage and integrate these new technologies into their compliant infrastructure. Okay, so just looking at the timeline, you can see that MiFID II has been deliberated for quite a while, since 2011, with agreements to actually adopt the rule only being made in 2014. And then from 2014 up until just quite recently this year, MiFID II has been fleshed out a lot more, with a final adherence date given as the 3rd of January 2018, which is basically just under 8 months away. So next, I'd like to show you some ways to assist you with the changes that MiFID II will bring. When MiFID II is enforced in January, upon request and with a defined time frame, firms will be required to submit recordings of all trader voice and UC activity pertaining to a particular trade or incident for the purposes of trade reconstruction. To ensure our customers can do this, we're advising that it's no longer sufficient to provision your compliance recorder based on concurrency and basically how busy your estate usually gets. Instead, the recording of all trader voice and UC endpoints is highly recommended, and to capture all internal and all external call traffic. This will then provide comprehensive trade reconstruction and monitoring capabilities across all devices, call types, and all call scenarios. So our top tip here is to remember to record all of your internal calls. These should include intercom and HOOT devices. As mentioned previously, changes in how firms are monitoring is proven to be one of the biggest trends that we are noticing this year. There are a lot of tools and features that will already be built into your existing VR infrastructure, or enhancements can easily be made to include these. Utilizing all of these together can help maintain a compliant infrastructure. If we take SNMP alerting, Although generally available out of the box, Speakerbus often find that either SNMP is not being used or that customers are unaware that it's actually available or what it can do for them. Most trader voice and UC systems should have SNMP traps they can send you. These can be utilized to proactively monitor system health, and they can also provide you with usage statistics that can help make you run your estate more efficiently. We also highly recommend that compliance teams utilize the inbuilt monitoring tools that should be available with your voice recorder. You can silently listen to live trader voice and UC communications, and you can also annotate them live also, allowing them to be easily searchable for future review. Looking at morning checks, being able to create that culture of compliance that I mentioned before, this will really help in making this process of morning checks and regular checks more organic and pain-free. It's advisable to conduct regular morning checks on your trader voice, UC and VR estates to give you better assurances that you're compliant each day. Leveraging evaluation and training features on your voice recording system can allow you to conduct random spot checks for compliance. Regular spot checks will help protect your estate, and being able to automate and streamline this process allows it to easily be embedded into your compliance culture. Looking at workflow automation or workflow authorization, introducing permission-based access when requesting calls for playback will also help protect your estate and provide the business and regulators with a complete audit trail of all replay activities. And just looking at the top tip here, try to leverage all your built-in tools that are already in place to enhance your compliance capabilities. MiFID II will demand that firms retain calls for up to 7 years. These longer retention requirements result in increased and possibly more advanced storage needs. Although storage is a lot cheaper now than say 10 or even 5 years ago, the cost to provision and maintain storage is still a large factor, with increased budgets and capacity to consider. A simple way to manage this is to ensure that your VR infrastructure allows you to easily provision and manage multiple retention policies. This will allow you to minimize your storage needs. For example, 7-year retention policies could be applied to front and back office, and then shorter retention periods to be given to other departments where appropriate and permitted. It is also recommended that you continually back up your NAS or be able to configure your VR infrastructure to archive to multiple NAS locations. This will give you added assurance that your calls are protected for the duration required. Calls being archived will also soon need to be stamped in UTC format in order to be synchronized with the rest of your trading estate. Your VR infrastructure should allow you to do this out of the box. Worm storage. Previously reserved for the likes of Dodd-Frank, many of our customers are also migrating to worm storage in preparation for MiFID II. VR integration with worm manufacturers often requires some sort of middleware involvement or development work, so your VR infrastructure could need to cater for more than one brand or model. I also want to talk about recording resiliency. Aside from being deemed as non-compliant, trade floors can sometimes be asked to cease voice trading completely in the event that a voice recorder goes down. Introducing a secondary recorder ensures that you have failover or parallel recording resiliency in place that will help continue to keep you compliant in this regard. Resiliency is more essential if your monitoring and alerting capabilities and processes aren't up to scratch. If not spotted, a down voice recorder could go unnoticed for weeks, even months. A resilient VR infrastructure can help avoid this. And utilizing resiliency along with monitoring and analytics together will provide you with the maximum level of assurance. So the top tip here is with regard to worm storage, which obviously means write once, read many, and which basically means that your storage needs need to be durable and immutable. Reconstruction. Okay. Regulators may request that within a 72-hour window, all trader voice and UC calls leading to a trade or transaction are submitted for review. One of the key things to remember here is to ensure that your trader voice and UC estates offer rich CDR information, and that more importantly, your VR infrastructure is able to utilize this and turn it into searchable metadata. Having more core metadata to search with will speed up your search process significantly. Introducing audio analytics into your environment can be extremely powerful and help produce results that otherwise may not be possible if conducted manually within a 72-hour window. If you consider this, with the new increased storage and retention rules coming into play, customers' archives will become larger than ever before. And without analytics, compliance teams could find themselves having to trawl through terabytes of data, trying to find a specific incident, phrase, product, or price point. There are a few flavors of audio analytics, each with their own merits. Phonetic-based analytics is a very popular one, as it doesn't use a dictionary file, so you basically search for words and phrases via how they are phonetically sounding rather than how they are spelled. A phonetic engine is great for picking up new or unusual financial terms and phrases that other methods, analytics methods, are unable to do or know how to find. Transcription-based analytics is equally as powerful in its own right, as it can write calls to text files, turning the audio into structured data, which can then be used to search with, and which can also be used to enhance other text-based surveillance policies defined by your organisation. Utilising built-in voice recorder annotation is also something that we find our customers are not leveraging enough. Being able to tag archived or even better live calls will provide you with a lot more relevant additional metadata to search upon and assist significantly with the review and submission of calls. Looking a little further at call export and the submission of calls for compliance, regulators may ask to review numerous calls at a time for trade reconstruction. So being able to export in bulk is key and will speed up this process tenfold and help ensure that you submit your calls within the allotted time frame. Bulk export tools should hopefully already be built in or easily added to your existing VR estate. Regulators will also ask that industry standard audio in high quality format like WAV be submitted. Accompanying this also should be the call's associated metadata file, which should be presented in an easy to manage text or CSV file format. Having the highest quality capture and storage not only provides clarity to the regulators, but it also enables that any audio analytics adopted to function a lot better and more accurately. So our top tip here is basically to say that it's, if you put good data in, you'll get good data out. Okay, so I'm now going to hand you over to Kevin from Redbox, who will demonstrate some of the out-of-the-box and bolt-on tools that you can use to cater for the points discussed today. And to recap these, number one, capture all interactions leading to a transaction or sale, ideally using a 1-to-1 recording ratio as opposed to concurrency. Number two, try and build a culture of compliance within the business to help organically adopt regular or enhanced monitoring of your estate. This will help proactively avoid compliance issues. Number three, prepare for changes in archiving and retention. Ensure that your storage is resilient, has enough capacity, and is protected. And lastly, being able to comprehensively search and find calls quickly is key and will aid you when submitting calls within a given time frame. Okay, over to you, Kevin.
Thanks, Timothy. So thanks all for joining, and I'll give you a quick overview of the Redbox Recorders Compliance Suite. Effectively, Redbox have focused on MiFID II regulations over the past 18 months and developed quite a few tools and features to enable three main streams. Firstly is compliance efficiency. So we want to get to calls as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. Second is compliance workflow. So that is building in workflow into the solution. So it's automated and you can get logs and trails for the regulators should they come asking. And thirdly is compliance assurance. So ensuring that calls are being recorded and do your regular tests around the MiFID II requirements. So if I move on to the demo solution, we can see here that we've got the menu screen for the Redbox recorders. Here we have a variety of modules. So the first one is search and replay. This is your basic post recording search engine. Allows you to pick out the correct calls that you're looking for at any time. We also have the live monitor, allows you to listen to what's going on in the environment as it's going on in live timescales. We have event reconstruct, which is basically a workflow to bring calls into a reconstructed environment. So bringing various trading calls into environments where they can be surveilled and run through compliance as part of processes. As part of our compliance workflow section, we have our quality manager or compliance spot check tool, which effectively gives you the ability to generate random calls results to proactively offer surveillance against traders and the calls that they are making. Another part of the compliance workflow is replay requests. So this gives you the ability to for the traders to listen to their own calls, but it's policed by compliance a compliance expert or IT to ensure that the reasons calls are being listened to are correct. And again, all audited and all logged for the regulators come asking. And the final one is around compliance assurance. So we have our insight and daily system check functionality, which I'll come on to as we go into the demo. So I'll start with the standard replay. So here you can see the quick front end of the Redbox recorders. Very simple and easy to read screen, obviously making it very effective for compliance officers. We have a variety of quick picks. So I'll just click on today's calls. I can bring up a result, the results of calls that have happened today. So I've got a call generator running in the background, bringing these calls. Just spoke earlier about the metadata and the ability to pull as much data in as possible. As you can see here within the screenshot here, we've got quite a few columns that we can scroll within our database and ensure that these are all queryable for future searches moving forward. So if I click on the add criteria here, you can see that all this data here, if we can get this data from your PBX or the Speakerbus solution, we can add that into columns to make it nice and easy searchable and get very granular searches for your compliance officers. If I just give you a quick demo of how easy it is to add one of these columns in, if I just tick channel name, I can do a quick search for all of Bash's calls for today. Let's start that search, and lo and behold, it brings back the results for Bash there. So we can see all the details there. Just a quick, simple way to drill down on the calls and the results you're getting as part of your compliance investigations. Now, obviously, it's important to get this information to be able to query it, but also what you do when you've got the information. So if I just quickly double click on the call there, you can see that we pull back the calls and display in our media player window here. Now, there are a variety of different features you can add into the playback of this. So if I just show here, we've got various volume effects. So often within these conversations, you get people who speak quite quietly or conversely quite loudly. You can bring these into a easily audible format, so they're all speaking at the same level, and also boost that level up if it's quite quiet and the quality is low that's being captured. We can also speed up calls, so if people get quite excited, a bit like me, and speak a bit quickly, you can slow them down, as I can demo here. And also, if you've got a lot of calls to get through as being a compliance officer, you can speed it up to ensure that you can get through those calls as quickly as possible. So again, just a nice quick feature, all very simple to add on to various calls as you're going through listening and retrieving your records. The next section of the call is probably one of the most important pieces. So this is our digital signature. So this is effectively saying that this call is the original and has not been tampered with and is timestamped with UTC timestamping. Our standard of UTC is plus or minus 1 second, but we can go to ultra accuracy and go to 1/10 of a second. So the MiFID requirement does state plus or minus 1 second of UTC timestamping. So we're very compliant when it comes to the timestamping, call authentication, and proving that the call is authentic. Redbox recorders are in over 400 finance customers in London, over 700 worldwide, and we also record over 70% of the blue light organisations around the UK. We're in the Crown Prosecution Service every day as part of proving people guilty and also innocent, and a lot of that comes back to the calls that are captured as part of their investigation. So again, a testament to how compliant the recorder is. We also give you the ability to export the calls here, so just export them to WAV. I've got a variety of options you can use around this, so low quality, high quality. Also, we can choose to export with the replay settings. So for example, if I've slowed the call down to 80% because someone's speaking quite fast, also auto-volumed it, so as they're speaking quite loudly as well, I can give the impression that I get from that call to the person that I'm sending this to, and that saves me saying, sending it via email saying, you know, slow down to 80% and auto volume. It exports it as I find the best way to listen to the call, and that comes back into our compliance efficiency there. You don't want people doing the same job twice. Another great feature of the recorder is if I highlight this section here, I'm selecting part of the call only. I also get the ability to just send that selection, that part of the call only, again, with those replay settings. So I don't need to say to the person I'm sending it to, skip to 1 minute and 32 seconds as part of this call and listen to it for 30 seconds because this is what I want you to hear. So again, it's making it as quick as possible and easy as possible to get the right information to the right people. Dibbs also mentioned annotation as part of his presentation, and here I can just give you a quick view of how that would help within the recorder. So we have 30 customizable fields within our database, which notes is one of them. So for example, if I just tag this as trade 1, 2, 3, 4, I can then click OK, and that will input into one of the columns that trade reference into the database. And again, if I was going through as compliance and marking calls that were related to trades, I could mark, say, a dozen of those. And then when it comes to searching, I can add the criteria of notes in there, and then I can query against the different trade numbers that we get there. So again, if you're asked for investigations of calls related to trades or doing some internal auditing, you can always use the annotation fields as part of that process to ensure you only listen to calls once and marking them correctly, rather than listening to calls numerous times from numerous different reconstructions. So finally, with the compliance efficiency, we have a module called audio search feature. So effectively, in this search, we are looking at calls that are recorded on the 4th of February, where the word Redbox or support or query has been said. Now, this is based on a phonetic engine, and the real powerful piece of a phonetic engine is you're looking for sounds rather than transcribed words. So you don't need to worry too much about spelling, as long as you can type out the sounds of the words. For example, BMW could be BMW in the alphabet letters, but also B, E, M, E, M, W, W, and that will bring back the same results of looking for the word BMW. And we can tailor the searches as well based on some confidence levels. So here we're saying we're looking for Redbox where the minimum confidence level is 75%. We can increase that to 90 if we're getting too many results, or if you're getting not enough results, you can obviously bring that confidence level down. And you can also search where the words are spoken in the call or not spoken in the call, importantly as well. So if there are regulatory statements that you need to mention as part of your call flow, we can obviously check that they are being said, and if not, you can obviously use the results for training and development purposes across the staff. So if I get back to the results here, we can see we've pulled quite a few results, 26 from the search. And if I just play one of these calls, I'll just pause it before it starts. You can see there's some additional detail within the calls. So we've got some blue striping. And if I hover over the stripes, we can see that we're 94% confident that the word support has been said there. We are 91% confident that the word query has been said there, and 78% that Redbox is there. And so if I replay the call, we can listen to the results.
Good morning. Hi there. I've got one I think you need support.
So we had support there.
Okay.
Just a quick one again, just another little query.
Query.
Would you be able to record that with a Redbox?
And Redbox there. So again, just demonstrating that it's really easy to get to key points of the call. And this is a short call for demo purposes. But imagine if the calls are live calls, 40, 45 minutes long, and the trader wants to listen, or compliance wants to listen to where BMW was traded. You can obviously get to that point of the call very quickly, and then just listen to the brief context and the content around that trade. Where we find we get a lot of feedback is without this functionality, compliance officers are often skipping through 2 minutes at a time, saying it's roughly at 20 minutes when actually it's 18 minutes and going past it, and they get quite frustrated with the hopping back and forward to find the right points of calls. So this is just a really key tool to enable you to get to the right point at the right time as quickly as possible. And again, that comes into our compliance efficiency module suite. Now, we're conscious that obviously within the recording platform that it's not just a single integration we're capturing. So obviously Speakerbus is trading turrets, but we also connect to numerous UC platforms, Cisco, Mitel, Avaya and such like. And we can display all of these integrations in a single screen. So here I've just searched for multiple integrations. And if I pull back the results here, we should see calls for Ian Burnston across a variety of mediums. So here we can see link IM calls and also video calls here. So we are capturing instant message from Skype for Business and Cisco Jabber. We're also capturing video from the Skype for Business integration as well. So we're doing that on a one-to-one basis at present. And I can show you how the video looks.
Hey Ian, hi Jim, how you doing? I'm well, mate. How are you?
And again, you get the ability to mute lines and such like as you can do as part of the search and replay. So it's just a very simple stitching together of the audio and video together. And for instant message capture, I'll just double click to replay how that looks. So effectively a nice simple chat window. We can support up to 10 participants in conversations and can record persistent chat rooms and such like. So what we're aiming to do is bring as much of your communication into a single pane of glass that we can. So that includes your back office voice, your front office voice, your instant message, your video and such like. So we're really trying to be a one-stop shop for compliance tools. So it's a very quick whistle-stop tour of the front end, the main search replay function within the Redbox recorder. But as mentioned, as part of compliance efficiency, we also have the live monitor tool. So for larger floors, we can see a pictorial here of the channels involved in the trading floors or sales floors, as they're called here. So with this overview, we can see that there are 20 people within the recording profiles, of which 9 are active at the moment, and you can see where they're highlighted blue that those people are on the call at present. Now, it's not just the live calls that we can listen to. If I click the magnifying glass for Brian Griffiths, we can get a historical view of the last 5 of his calls. So it's all configurable. That can be up from as little as the live call to 20 calls you can get, depending on what your business process deems fit to look at surveillance as part of that. And the important piece of this as well is we can replay the calls that are going on live as well, and also add in different features such as we had within the standard post-recorded live replay. So similar effects of speeding up and slowing down and skipping to different parts of the conversation. So again, really key when it comes to a different way of looking at what's going on now, rather than retrospectively doing any type of surveillance or investigation. So as part of our compliance workflow, as Timothy mentioned earlier, we are encouraging people, and the regulators are encouraging people to use the tools that are built into the systems to really improve workflows and processes within organisations. So within the Redbox recorders, we have developed a couple around the MiFID requirements. The first being compliance spot checks. So feedback we had from lots of customers is that they are being more and more forced to do proactive surveillance on traders' calls. And the way they were doing this was taking a block of calls, more often than not on a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon, depending on when they fit the time in to do the proactive checks. And they would listen to the last 5 calls from that trader at that time and say that that's part of their spot checks. So they were proactive in a way with that. But what they wanted to do was get a real sample across the week of calls, and often the Monday morning calls and Friday afternoon calls are not the main time for doing real business. So we have a manager, a module called Quality Manager, which is used for best execution assurance, and it can bring back a sampled set of calls across a defined period. So we have schedulers, so you could say, please bring back calls for these 10 traders, 5 calls per trader per week, and to allow compliance to listen to those calls. Now, it's not only you can get those calls to be listened to, but you can also start evaluating and surveilling these calls. So within the schedule, you can click on the calls and start to evaluate, and I can bring this into my compliance spot check scoring form. So effectively, this brings back a form allowing me to give me prompts of what to listen for. So plays the call in the background, as you can see, as you can hear there, hopefully. I'll just pause that so we're not talking over each other. And whilst compliance are listening to the call, you can obviously give them prompts of what they're looking for to see if there are any issues around the call and if they need any further surveillance or further investigation. So here you can spot for samples of front running, for example, or trends around inside information, and you can score these calls based on the results that you're getting within the call. Now, within this demonstration, there are just yes/no answers here, but we have a variety of different scoring methods. So a sliding scale, 0 to 5, for example, in terms of weightings, and also traffic lights, so red, amber, green. And you can also have what we call kill questions as well. So if, for example, one of these is answered yes, you can set a flag to say, this person or this call needs to be escalated for true investigation. And again, you can add details there. So, flagged for investigation, for example. And when you click complete, this then writes your results to a database effectively, and you can generate reports and trends around the database. So it's not just used for internal investigations, but should the regulators come asking as well, what is your process for proactive surveillance? You have this all logged with the ability to give to the regulators very quickly and simply, without having to go and reinvent the wheel and look for any other ways of doing it. So again, just workflow automation built within the Redbox recorder, really ensuring that compliance processes are in place. Another feature and another request we had from both regulators and customers is replay requests. So effectively, the challenge around this was people were unsure as to who should be listening to calls and how they should be listening to them. Generally, we find that compliance have carte blanche to listen to all calls, but often traders want to listen to the calls to ensure that the trade was done at the right price, or it was the right stop, for example. So the user experience for this would be you could give traders access to the first 20 seconds, 30 seconds of their call, all of their calls, and when they listen to them, they can identify that it's the correct call. They'll then get a pop-up to say, do you want to listen to the rest of this call? If the answer is yes, they will need to put in a reason why and click OK. Then that will send a replay request to compliance or whoever it is policing the system. So in this scenario, you can see that replay user 1 has requested 2 calls with the reasons why. The person policing the system can get a couple of bits of information around the calls and also listen to the calls to ensure that the reasons why they want to check on deal 7535 is this call really around 7535, so they can do the proactive monitoring before granting access. They can then grant access and say, yes, you're allowed this call for the next 24, 48 hours, or they can also reject and give reasons why they're rejecting it. So again, it's just a way of policing the solution, making sure that you're getting the right information at the right time. And again, this is all logged. And so again, should the regulators come asking who's been listed to these calls, why has this call on the 26th of April been listened to 15 times and other calls have only been listened to twice? You get the entire audit log that you can give to the regulators to ensure that you're proactively policing your records. So that's our compliance workflow modules covered off, and so the final piece is compliance assurance. So this is really around making sure that the recorder is working, the integrations are working, and we are capturing records within our recorder. So for IT use, we've built a standard dashboard view here. So we can see we've got a standard traffic light system of red, amber, green. Red, so green, everything's okay. Amber, some advisories, and red, you have time to start taking action on the recorder. And we can drill down on these widgets here. So here we can see there's issues with the system uptime, and it's on the New York media server. And lo and behold, the New York media server is down. This also shows a bit of historical information as well. So the feedback we got was a lot of people were comfortable with the information they got at that time, but not necessarily what had happened. And here's a good example. You can see that the New York primary was down at that time in the morning. Obviously, if there's no one in to capture that at that time, then it could be that there's issues on the network that's causing the recorders to go down at that time of the day every day. So we're just trying to make you forewarned with the right information to allow you to act upon the information you've got. So it's not just critical alarms as well. We can see here from the network storage graph here, we've got warnings set at 70% and alarms at 90%, and we can trigger emails when certain watermarks within graphs are met. Again, just give you the right information at the right time to proactively manage your solution. On top of the Insight platform is our Assure platform, and of which the first module is our daily system check. Now, this is a great feature which does your proactive checks on your recording solutions. So we currently integrate with Cisco and Mitel from a back office phone system, and Speakerbus are the only integration that we have with Trader Voice. Effectively, what this module does is it gives you the ability to set schedules, and you can call, say, every device in your Cisco and Speakerbus estate at 6:30 in the morning. We will pipe 5 seconds worth of audio down to that device. We will hang up that device via a variety of methods, and when that device is hung up, we will write a record to the database, and then we'll check that record is there and check there's an RTP stream within that record. If you get a tick in both of those boxes, you get a passed call. If you get a cross in either of those boxes, or both, you get a failed call. And effectively, this is the report that you have here. So in this scenario, you can see we've tested 20 devices. Here are the extensions here, of which 5 failed and 15 passed. Now, one of the great developments around the daily systems check was the ability to replay that test call. So this is a test call that's defined by Redbox. It can be configurable for your environments, but the ability to replay that gets around any data protection acts, because we were finding that a lot of IT, in terms of system health, were listening to a variety of either trading calls, HR type calls, or calls of a sensitive nature. And there was a very grey area around the Data Protection Act of should IT be listening to those calls. Where compliance generally have carte blanche, they're not necessarily worried about the administration of the system, and it did take IT to listen to them to make sure it was up and running. And so finally, the failed calls we get here. So we've got a couple of further bits of information. So where the call record is not found would suggest that there isn't a record or an RTP stream in the record, would suggest we couldn't get that audio into the recorder. And an error has occurred on the item under test, would suggest we couldn't get to that item to run the test upon it. So again, this is just about being able to give you the report. So you run your check at 6:30, you get your report back at 7 o'clock in the morning to say, we've tested these devices and you've got 5 errors, and it gives you the ability to be forewarned and forearmed and start investigating those errors before you need a critical time to retrieve a call and realise that that you haven't recorded for a few months because someone turned the built-in bridge off the phone, for example. So just a very quick overview around how quickly and easy it is to search in Redbox for compliance efficiency, how we can make you really compliant and process-driven with the compliance workflow, and also we can ensure you're recording at all times with our compliance assurance modules. And Dimith, I'll pass back to you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That's great. I think it would it be good maybe to conduct one last poll, just to see if today's session has affected your perception of your Trader Voice plans relating to MiFID II. So if you can please take a look at this very quickly. Okay, just looking at the results, we've seen that obviously quite a lot of people still feel that they need some consultation, and a lot of people obviously still have their plans in place. So I hope today's session has been able to help. If we can help with anything else as well with regard to this, please let us know. We've got a very quick time, a couple more minutes just to go through some questions. We have had some questions come in. One of them says, we currently have various compliance tools already in place. How can we integrate with these? So in terms of Speakerbus, our development for our client API is nearing completion. We should be expecting to offer client lab trials towards the end of summer. And from Redbox?
Yeah, absolutely. So from Redbox, we have an open API, which our customers can develop with and against them too. And effectively, yeah, we've already developed on numerous CRM and order management systems.
Okay, and I've got another question here. I'm a Redbox client. How do I get a UTC license?
I'll take that one, Dimith. So a UTC license is free of charge as long as you've got an existing support contract. So if you need that, please get in contact with Dimmoth or I. We can obviously give you that the license. You will require an upgrade as part of that, and professional services will be chargeable for that upgrade.
Okay, brilliant. We have had some other questions coming, but what we'll do is we'll take a look after this session, and we will endeavour to get back to you all. Apologies if we've not been able to cover one. Okay, we'll do one more, I think. We've got time for one more question. Okay. Lead times. When should I be looking to take action or upgrade? So in order to design, plan and deploy, and obviously meet the legal requirements of MiFID II, you'd ideally want to be, I guess, looking to engage with us before the end of Q2.
I think so.
Yeah, and then with plans to carry out any works by the end of Q3. We do have clients working with us today and have been for this year, at the beginning of this year, in order to meet these timescales. So it's best not to leave it to the last minute, obviously.
Yeah, so from our experience in the market, a lot of the customers I'm talking to at the moment have set themselves a soft deadline of end of Q3 for compliance,
right,
to give them Q4 to test and ensure those systems are robust.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our webinar. I hope you found the session useful. Just looking at some potential next steps. Speakerbus will be happy to conduct a compliance audit and health check of your tradable estate and help advise in this regard. So please let us know if this is of interest. Urgency to deliver. So I was looking at, given that there's less than 8 months before the rules become enforced, as I said, we're becoming increasingly busy. So it's important to give yourselves and your vendors enough time and bandwidth in order to deploy measures before 3rd of Jan 2018. And if you'd like to have a Speakerbus or indeed another Redbox demo, we'll be happy to accommodate, so please let us know and we'll arrange something. And finally, here's our contact information. Please do get in touch and join one of our social media channels, drop us an email or please give us a call. Thank you again for finding the time to join our session today, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you very much, and thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.